Chosen one, why are you still awake at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, wondering if God remembers your address? Why does every family gathering feel like you're invisible, sitting at tables surrounded by people who used to need you, but now barely see you? Why have you prayed the same prayer for 20 years, and the answer still hasn't come? Chosen one, lean in close. Something shifted at dawn today. I don't know if you felt it when you woke up this morning, that strange weight in your chest, that unexplainable knowing that whispered, "Pay attention," but I'm telling you right now with prophetic certainty. November 29th is not just another Friday on your calendar. This is a marked day, a threshold, a divine appointment that heaven scheduled before you took your first breath. The atmosphere around you is different. Can you feel it? The air is thicker, charged with something you can't name. Heaven has moved closer to earth today. And your name, yes, your name has been stirring in the courts of God since midnight. Here's what most believers will never tell you. There are doors in the spiritual realm that remain locked for decades. Not because God is cruel, not because you're unworthy, but because the treasure behind that door is so valuable, so life-altering, that you needed to be strengthened first. You needed to survive everything you've survived to be ready for what's on the other side. And today, this very day, that door just clicked open. I'm talking to the grandmother whose children stopped calling, the grandfather whose body is failing but whose spirit still burns, the senior saint who gave everything to everyone else and now sits alone wondering if it mattered. I'm talking to you, the one who's been faithful when faith hurt, who kept believing when belief felt foolish, who whispered, "I trust you, Lord," even when trust felt like a lie you told yourself to survive another night. Listen to me, your silence is ending. Your waiting has an expiration date, and that date is today. Before we go deeper, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through Super Thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just giving, you're sowing seeds of hope into ground that's been barren for too long. You're partnering with heaven to spread light to others who feel forgotten in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message is already stirring something in your soul, go ahead and honor that stirring. But right now, if your spirit recognizes this moment, if something inside you just whispered, "Yes, this is for me," I need you to do something. Type Amen 29 in the comments. Let heaven see that you're awake. Let the angels take note. Because what I'm about to reveal at minute 38 will prove beyond doubt that your breakthrough didn't just start today, it started the moment you clicked on this message. Today is the day the delay breaks. Are you ready? How many nights have you whispered into the darkness, "God, are you even there?" How many mornings have you opened your eyes and felt that crushing weight settle back onto your chest? The weight of unanswered prayers, unfulfilled promises, dreams that died so long ago you can barely remember what hope felt like. How many times have you sat in church, surrounded by testimonies of breakthrough, and wondered why everyone else's miracle came but yours never did? I need you to hear me right now. Chosen one, what I'm about to tell you will either shatter you or set you free. You've been waiting, some of you for months, some for years, some for half a lifetime. You've watched your children grow up and move away. You've buried people you thought would be here forever. You've seen your body betray you, your savings disappear, your dreams shrink down to just trying to make it through another day without falling apart. And through it all, you've kept a tiny flame of faith flickering in your chest, so small, so fragile that you're terrified to even acknowledge it's there because you can't survive it going out. You know what breaks my heart? It's not that you've suffered. It's that you've suffered in silence, believing the lie that your pain means God has forgotten you. Let me take you back to a man named Joseph. Genesis 37 tells us he was 17 years old when God gave him dreams of greatness, visions of his family bowing before him, promises of elevation and authority. And what happened next? His own brothers threw him in a pit and sold him into slavery. He went from the favorite son to property, from dreamer to prisoner. But here's what most preachers won't tell you about Joseph's story. He spent 13 years between the dream and the fulfillment. 13 years. That's 4,745 days of waking up in bondage, wondering if God had lied to him. That's 4,745 nights of questioning whether those dreams were real or just the fantasies of a foolish boy. Potiphar's house. False accusations. Prison. Forgotten by the Kabira for 2 more years. Can you imagine the psychological torture? Every morning Joseph had to choose, keep believing or give up. Keep trusting or admit defeat. Keep hoping or accept that this dungeon was his destiny. But Genesis 50:20 reveals the secret that will change how you see every moment of your waiting. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Do you understand what that means for you right now? Your silent years were not punishment. They were preparation. Think about this. If Joseph had been elevated at 17, he would have been arrogant, untested, unready for the weight of authority. But by the time Pharaoh's dream needed interpretation, Joseph was 30 years old, refined by injustice, strengthened by betrayal, purified by years of choosing faith when faith made no logical sense. The pit didn't break him, it built him. The prison didn't destroy him, it developed him. The silence didn't mean God had abandoned him. It meant God was working in the invisible realm, orchestrating a salvation so massive that it would save entire nations. You've been living in your own version of Joseph's pit, haven't you? Your marriage that ended, your children who don't call, your body that hurts in places you didn't know could hurt, your bank account that never seems to grow no matter how careful you are, your prayers that echo back at you like they're bouncing off a concrete ceiling. But what if I told you that God has been using every single moment of your silence to position you for something so significant that if it had come any earlier it would have crushed you? David understood this. Psalm 27:14 says, "Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart." Notice it doesn't say God will strengthen you before the waiting. It says the waiting itself is what strengthens you. Every day you chose to trust him when you felt forgotten. That was muscle being built in your spirit. Every night you got on your knees despite the silence, that was authority being forged in your soul. The prophet Habakkuk cried out, "How long, Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen?" That's Habakkuk 1:2. This is a prophet, a man who spoke directly with God, and even he felt the agony of divine silence. But God's response in Habakkuk 2:3 will wreck you, for the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come. Your breakthrough has an appointed time. Not a random time. Not a maybe time. An appointed time. And chosen one, November 29th, is that appointed time for you. You've been in the longest winter of your life. Every season, you watched the trees bloom for others while yours stayed bare. Every year, you saw promises fulfilled for everyone around you while yours remained frozen in the ground. You started to believe that maybe spring just wasn't coming for you. Maybe your soil was too damaged. Maybe your roots were too old. But even the longest winter cannot stop the appointed spring. Isaiah 61:3 promises beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. God doesn't waste your ashes, beloved. He's been collecting every single one, every burned dream, every destroyed hope, every moment you felt like you were dying inside, and he's been saving them. Not to remind you of your pain, but to transform them into something so beautiful that when the world sees it, they'll know only God could have done this. Your silent years were not evidence of God's absence. They were evidence of his precision. He wasn't ignoring your prayers. He was answering them with such careful attention to detail that it required time you couldn't understand and process, you couldn't see. What you thought God forgot, He's been saving. And what happens next will prove that every tear, every sleepless night, every moment you wanted to quit but didn't, it was all leading to this day. But there's something you need to understand about why November 29th is different from every other day you've waited. You want to know why today feels different. You want to know why you woke up with that unexplainable heaviness in your chest. Why your spirit has been restless since sunrise. Why you can't shake the feeling that something massive is shifting in the invisible realm. Because heaven didn't consult your calendar. Heaven interrupted it. Let me tell you something that's going to shake everything you thought you knew about divine timing. God doesn't move in general seasons. He doesn't work in vague time frames or loose approximations. The Almighty operates in windows-specific, appointed, precisely calculated windows when earth and eternity collide with such force that breakthrough becomes inevitable. And November 29th, 2024 is one of those windows. Think about this for a moment. When God wanted to deliver Israel from 400 years of Egyptian bondage, did it happen gradually? No. Exodus 12:41 tells us, at the end of the 430 years, to the very day all the Lord's divisions left Egypt. To the very day, not approximately. Not around that time, the exact day. Because God's clock doesn't run on human time, it runs on prophetic precision. When Jesus hung on that cross, darkness covered the land from noon until 3 in the afternoon. 3 hours. Not 2 hours and 50 minutes. Not 3.5 hours. Exactly 3 hours. Because even in His suffering, even in the redemption of all mankind, heaven was working within a specific, appointed window. Dear one, you've been waiting so long that you've forgotten how to recognize divine interruption when it arrives. You've become so accustomed to delay that you've mistaken God's silence for His absence. But what if I told you that every single day you've waited, every tear you've cried in secret, every morning you've woken up disappointed, it was all calibrating heaven's clock to strike at precisely this moment? The divine clock is striking 11:59 over your life right now. You see, there are 5 reasons why today, this specific day, is your appointed window. And each one of these reasons has been building in the spiritual realm while you thought nothing was happening. First, your spirit is finally ready. Not the spirit you had 20 years ago when you first started praying. Not the spirit you had 5 years ago when you almost gave up. The spirit you have today, battle-tested, fire-refined, stripped of every false hope and religious pretense. Job 23:10 declares, "But He knows the way that I take. When He has tested me, I will come forth as gold." You are that gold now. The refining is complete. Second, your endurance has matured into unshakable faith. James 1:4 says, "Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Do you understand what that means? The waiting wasn't wasted, it was producing completeness. You're not the same person who started this journey. The grandmother who buried her husband isn't the same woman sitting here today. The grandfather whose children abandoned him has been transformed in the crucible. You've earned divine credentials through survival itself. Third, your heart has been softened by pain instead of hardened by it. This is the miracle most people miss. Ezekiel 36:26 promises, "I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh." Most people who go through what you've endured become bitter, cynical, closed off. But somehow, miraculously, you're still here with your heart open, still willing to believe, still capable of hope. That's supernatural preparation. Fourth, your name has been brought before heaven's throne. Revelation 5:8 shows us that the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb. Each one had a harp, and they were holding golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of God's holy people. Your prayers didn't evaporate into empty air. They've been collected, stored, presented before the Almighty. And today, those prayers are being answered in a flood of breakthrough that will leave you speechless. Fifth, and this is the one that will wreck you. The heavenly wave that sweeps through timelines has reached your coordinate. Think of it like this. When a tsunami forms in the middle of the ocean, it travels thousands of miles before it reaches shore. For days the water looks calm. Nothing appears to be happening, but beneath the surface, that wave is moving with unstoppable force. And when it finally reaches land, everything changes in an instant. Beloved, the wave has been traveling toward you for decades, and at sunrise this morning, the angel's foot touched the earth at your address. If your heart is beating differently right now, if something inside you is confirming every word I'm speaking, pause and like this message. That simple act is more than engagement. It's a prophetic yes to your new beginning. It's you telling heaven, I'm ready, I receive, I believe. But here's what's going to destroy every doubt you've been carrying. Heaven didn't choose a day and then randomly assign it to people. No. Heaven chose you specifically, personally, deliberately, and then marked today as your appointed time. You are not an afterthought in God's calendar. You are the reason this window exists. The question burning in the throne room of heaven right now isn't, will they make it? The question is, are they ready to receive everything we've been holding back until this exact moment? So tell me, chosen one, are you? Chosen one, let me ask you something that's going to cut straight to your heart. How many years have you spent rowing? How many decades have you exhausted yourself trying to make things happen, trying to force doors open, trying to earn what God already promised you? You wake up at dawn and the first thought that hits you is worry. Bills, health, children who've drifted away, grandchildren you barely know. You've been rowing against a current so fierce that your arms ache, your back throbs, and somewhere deep inside, you've started wondering if you have any strength left at all. But here's what heaven whispered to me at 2:47 this morning, and it's going to shatter every exhausted belief you've been carrying. You were never meant to row. You were meant to float. Listen to me carefully. There's a current in the spirit realm that most believers never discover because they're too busy thrashing in the water, too busy trying to prove their worth, too busy performing for a God who stopped keeping score the moment Jesus said, "It is finished," on that cross. The prophet Isaiah knew this secret. Isaiah 40:31 declares, "But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." Did you catch that? They that wait, not struggle, not strive, not exhaust themselves, wait, position themselves, align themselves with the current of God's movement. You've been taught that faith means working harder, that devotion means doing more, that breakthrough comes from your effort, your sacrifice, your relentless pushing. And dear one, that lie has stolen decades from you. It's left you depleted when God designed you to be carried. Think about Peter walking on water in Matthew 14. As long as he kept his eyes on Jesus, the impossible became his floor. The storm didn't stop raging. The wind didn't cease howling. But Peter wasn't fighting the water, he was being held above it. The moment he looked down, the moment he started trusting his effort instead of God's power, he sank. That's where you've been, isn't it? Sinking. Not because you lack faith, not because God abandoned you, but because you've been looking down at your age, your limitations, your bank account, your medical reports, your family dysfunction. You've been measuring your capacity instead of trusting His current. But November 29th marks the day the current reverses. I'm talking about divine momentum that doesn't depend on your energy. Supernatural movement that flows when you're sleeping, working when you're resting, opening doors while you're simply breathing. This is what happens when you stop rowing and start floating in the river of God's sovereign plan. You know what breaks my heart? I meet seniors every single day who believe their season of miracles has passed. They look at their wrinkled hands and think God can't use weathered vessels. They feel their bodies slowing down and assume their spiritual acceleration has stopped too. But that's not how heaven operates. When God carries you, age doesn't limit you, it crowns you. Moses was 80 when God promoted him from shepherd to liberator. Sarah was 90 when her womb became a doorway for nations. Anna, the prophetess, was 84 when she recognized the Messiah that everyone else overlooked. Your years aren't your disqualification, they're your decoration. Every wrinkle is a badge of honor. Every gray hair is evidence that you survived what should have killed you. And now God is saying, stop fighting for what I'm freely giving. Stop earning what I already purchased. Stop rowing when I've turned the current in your direction. Psalm 46:10 commands us, be still and know that I am God. Be still, not be busy. Not be productive. Not be perfect, be still. Because in your stillness, you finally feel the current beneath you. In your surrender, you finally sense the movement you've been too frantic to notice. Here's what's happening right now in the invisible realm. Heaven is aligning circumstances you can't see, orchestrating conversations you're not part of, moving people into position to bless you who don't even know your name yet, opening doors in buildings you've never entered, healing organs while you sleep, softening hearts that have been hard toward you for years. And you don't have to make any of it happen. You just have to stop fighting it. You just have to release your white-knuckle grip on control and let the current of God's sovereign love carry you where your rowing never could. The morning breeze outside your window isn't random. The sunlight breaking through your curtains isn't coincidence. The fact that your heart is still beating, your lungs are still breathing, your spirit is still believing, that's the current. That's God's hand beneath you, holding you, moving you, positioning you for breakthrough your effort could never produce. And in part 7 of this message, I'm going to reveal the 3 undeniable signs that prove you have stepped into God's flow. 3 supernatural markers that confirm you're being carried now, not chasing anymore. But right now, I need you to do something that might feel impossible. I need you to stop. Just stop. Stop worrying about tomorrow. Stop rehearsing yesterday's failures. Stop calculating whether you have enough time, enough money, enough strength. The current doesn't require your resume. It doesn't check your qualifications. It doesn't measure your worthiness. It simply carries those who trust it. So here's my question for you. Chosen one, and your answer will determine whether you spend the rest of your days rowing or floating. Are you finally ready to let go and let God's current carry you into the breakthrough you've been bleeding for? You want to know why it's taken so long. You want to know why you've been waiting for 20, 30, 40 years while watching others get their miracles in 20 minutes. You want to know why your prayers seem to take longer to answer than anyone else's. Let me tell you something that's going to shake you to your core. The enemy didn't fight you this hard because you were weak. He fought you this hard because he saw what heaven placed inside you before you were born. He saw your legacy. He saw the generations that would rise up because you refused to quit. He saw the atmospheres you would shift just by walking into a room, and it terrified him. You think those battles were random. You think that betrayal at 63 was just bad luck. You think losing everything you built was coincidence. No, beloved, that was targeted warfare. Satan doesn't waste his best weapons on ordinary people. He reserves his most vicious attacks for those carrying the most dangerous anointing. Look at Job. The Bible says in Job 1:8 that God himself pointed Job out to Satan. Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. And what happened next? Everything was stripped away. His wealth, his children, his health, his wife's support. But here's what hell didn't count on. Job's foundation was so deep that even total devastation couldn't shake it. That's you. You've been through Job's season, and you're still standing. But let me get specific about what you've endured, because I know some of you think I'm just speaking in generalities. I'm not. I'm talking about the betrayal that came from your own family. The adult children who barely call anymore. The grandchildren who are too busy for you. The friends who disappeared when your money ran out. The church that forgot you the moment you couldn't serve anymore. I'm talking about the financial collapse that hit you at 72 when you thought you were finally secure. The medical bills that devoured your savings. The fixed income that can't keep up with inflation. The humiliation of needing help after a lifetime of being the helper. I'm talking about the fatigue that settles into your bones like winter frost. The body that won't cooperate anymore. The mind that forgets names you've known for 50 years. The exhaustion that makes you wonder if it's even worth getting out of bed. And the regret. Oh, the regret that visits you at 3 a.m. The decisions you wish you could undo. The words you wish you could take back. The opportunities you missed. The dreams you buried. The person you thought you'd become, but never did. But here's what the enemy didn't tell you when he was orchestrating all of that. Every single test was actually proof of your calling. Let me say that again. The test wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to prove you. Malachi 3:3 says, "He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver." Do you know what that means? A silversmith holds the metal in the hottest part of the flame, watching it constantly, never looking away. And he knows the silver is fully refined when he can see his own reflection in it. That's what God has been doing. He's been holding you in the fire, watching you constantly, never leaving you, until he could see his own image reflected in your life. Your faith. Your endurance. Your refusal to curse him even when you had every reason to. The world looks at you and sees someone who's been through too much. God looks at you and sees someone who's been prepared for too much power. You didn't survive by accident. You survived because heaven had you guarded. Every time the enemy tried to take you out, and he tried, didn't he? There were angels you couldn't see standing between you and total destruction. Every time you should have given up, there was grace you couldn't explain holding you together. Every morning you woke up when you didn't want to wake up. That was divine intervention. Isaiah 54:17 declares, "No weapon forged against you will prevail, not some weapons. Not most weapons. No weapon." Every scheme designed to destroy you has failed, because failure is the only option when hell declares war on heaven's agenda. But why you? Why were you chosen for this level of testing? Because your voice changes atmospheres. You don't even realize it, but when you walk into a room, the spiritual temperature shifts. When you pray, things move in realms you can't see. When you speak blessing over someone, heaven responds. Your faith doesn't just believe in miracles, it scares the darkness that's been holding miracles hostage. You carry legacy, beloved. You're not just living for yourself. You're breaking generational curses. You're answering prayers your grandmother prayed 70 years ago. You're opening doors for great-grandchildren who haven't been born yet. The enemy knew that if you ever fully awaken to who you are, entire family lines would be set free. That's why the warfare was so intense. That's why the delays were so long. That's why the test kept going when everyone else's seemed to end. But hear me clearly, the testing season is over. The refining is complete. God just looked into the silver of your life and saw his own reflection staring back, and he said, now they're ready. In just a few minutes, I'm going to reveal the big news heaven has released specifically for November 29th. The announcement that will explain why this date was marked on heaven's calendar before time began. Why your name has been connected to this day in the courts of God. But first, you need to understand this. Everything you've survived wasn't preparing you for retirement. It was preparing you for release. So, let me ask you something that's going to determine everything that happens next in your life. Are you ready to stop seeing yourself as someone who barely survived and start seeing yourself as someone heaven specifically preserved for such a time as this. Listen to me, chosen one. What I'm about to declare over your life isn't theory. This isn't another sermon to make you feel better for 5 minutes before reality crushes you again. This is a prophetic announcement that carries the weight of heaven itself. November 29th didn't arrive by accident. This date was marked in eternity before the first star burned in the night sky. And right now, this moment, as my voice reaches your ears, something is breaking loose in the invisible realm that's been bound for decades. You want to know why you've been waiting so long. You want to know why that prayer you've whispered 10,000 times hasn't been answered yet. Because God doesn't give breakthrough to people who would wasted it. He gives it to those who've been refined by fire, tested by time, proven faithful when faith felt like foolishness. And you passed the test. Let me tell you what's happening right now in your life. The good news I'm declaring isn't one-dimensional. This isn't just about money showing up, though for some of you, unexpected provision is already in motion. This isn't just about health improving, though I'm telling you prophetically. There are people watching this whose bodies will experience unexplainable turnarounds in the next 72 hours. This isn't just about relationships healing, though some of you are about to get phone calls from family members who haven't spoken to you in years. This is multidimensional breakthrough. This is divine reversal on every front where the enemy has held ground. For some of you, God is touching your health right now. That diagnosis the doctors said was permanent. That pain you've carried for 20 years. That medication you thought you'd need until you died. Something is shifting in your physical body as I speak these words. The same God who formed you in your mother's womb is reaching into your cells, your organs, your bones, and speaking restoration. You're going to wake up one morning soon and realize the pain is gone. And you'll know it started today. For some of you, your family is about to reconcile. I'm talking about that son who walked away, that daughter who cut you off, those grandchildren you only see in pictures on Facebook. Right now, at this very moment, God is softening hearts that have been hardened against you. He's breaking through pride, dissolving bitterness, melting resentment. You're going to get a text message, a phone call, a knock on your door that will leave you on your knees weeping because you thought this moment would never come. But it's coming. It's already in motion. For some of you, your finances are turning around before this year ends. I don't care what your bank account says right now. I don't care how much debt you're drowning in. I don't care if you're 1 month away from losing your home. The God who owns the cattle on 1,000 hills is about to release resources into your life that have no logical explanation. Money from settlements you forgot about, checks that arrive with your name on them, opportunities that land in your lap without you even applying. This is supernatural provision, and it starts today. But here's what's going to shock you most. This breakthrough isn't just changing your circumstances. It's changing your identity. See, the enemy convinced you that your worth was tied to your bank account, your health, your family relationships. He made you believe that because those things were broken, you were broken too. But God is about to show you something that will shatter that lie forever. You are not defined by what you lost. You are defined by what you carry. And what you carry is the very breath of the Almighty God. You've been walking around thinking you're just a senior citizen waiting to die, but you're actually a chosen vessel carrying resurrection power. You thought you were winding down, but God says you're about to explode with purpose. The prophet Isaiah spoke directly to this moment when he declared in Isaiah 43:19, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth, do you not perceive it? Do you hear that now it springs forth? Not tomorrow, not next year, not when you finally feel ready. Today, this moment." And here's the part that's going to give you goosebumps. God didn't just decide this morning to bless you. He's been orchestrating this breakthrough for years. Every closed door, every disappointment, every night you cried yourself to sleep, it was all positioning, all preparation, all strategic delay so that when the breakthrough finally came, you'd be strong enough to handle it, wise enough to steward it, and desperate enough to give him all the glory for it. Psalm 126:5 promises, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy." You've done the sowing, beloved. You've watered the ground with tears for decades. And now, right now, it's harvest time. The seeds you planted in pain are about to produce a crop so abundant that you won't have room to contain it. But here's the urgency you need to understand. This window won't stay open forever. Divine appointments have divine timing. When God says, now, he means now. When he says today, he means this day. You cannot afford to let doubt, fear, or past disappointment talk you out of receiving what heaven is releasing. As of today, November 29th, you are no longer in delay. Heaven has moved. The angels have been dispatched. The miracle has begun. Your only job is to open your hands and receive it. If you receive this word, if something in your spirit is confirming that this is your moment, I need you to do something right now. Type, "I receive my miracle," in the comments. Not tomorrow, not when you see proof, right now. That declaration isn't just a comment. It's your agreement with heaven. It's you saying, "Yes, Lord, I'm ready." And then share this message. Someone in your life is suffocating under the weight of delay. They need to hear that their moment has come too. But there's something else you need to know about why this breakthrough is happening now. And it has everything to do with who you really are. You've been waiting for proof, haven't you? You've been asking God for something, anything, that shows he's still paying attention to your life. Something tangible, something real, something you can point to and say, "There, that's him. He hasn't forgotten me." Well, chosen one, I'm about to give you 3 signs that will appear in your life within the next 10 hours. Not maybe, not possibly. These signs will manifest if what I've been telling you is true, that November 19th marked your breakthrough moment. And when they appear, you need to recognize them immediately, because heaven doesn't send confirmation twice. Listen carefully. Write this down if you need to, because missing these signs could cost you the very miracle you've been praying for. The first sign, a sudden peace after months of heaviness. For how long have you been carrying that weight in your chest, that invisible anvil pressing down on your lungs every morning when you wake up? You've been living with anxiety so long it feels normal now. The worry about your health, the grief over your broken family, the fear about money running out before your life does. It's been your constant companion, this heaviness that follows you from room to room, from day to day, from year to year. But here's what's about to happen. Without warning, without reason, you're going to feel it lift. You'll be sitting in your living room, or lying in bed, or standing at your kitchen sink. And suddenly, like someone just opened a window in a stuffy room, you'll breathe differently. The weight will be gone, not lessened, gone. And you're going to question it. You're going to think, this can't be real, nothing changed. My circumstances are still the same. But that's exactly the point. When God moves, circumstances don't have to change for you to change. Philippians 4:7 calls it, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding. It doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be there. But it is. That peace isn't random, beloved. That's sign number 1. That's God saying, I heard you, I'm moving. Get ready. Don't dismiss it as a good day. Don't explain it away as your medication finally working or the weather getting better. When that supernatural peace settles over your spirit like a blanket you didn't know you needed, that's heaven confirming your breakthrough has been activated. The second sign, a message, person, or opportunity appearing out of nowhere. Within 2 hours of today, someone is going to reach out to you. Or you're going to receive information you weren't looking for. or an opportunity is going to present itself that makes absolutely no logical sense based on your current situation. It might be a phone call from someone you haven't heard from in years. It might be a letter in the mail you weren't expecting. It might be a conversation with a stranger at the grocery store that carries weight far beyond small talk. It might be an email, a text, a knock on your door from someone who says, "I don't know why, but I felt like I needed to contact you today." This is divine orchestration, chosen one. This is God moving people like chess pieces on a board you can't see. And the enemy is going to whisper in your ear, "That's just coincidence. That doesn't mean anything." But let me tell you something about coincidence. It's just God choosing to remain anonymous. Think about Philip in Acts chapter 10. An angel told him, "Go south to the road that goes down from Jerusalem to Gaza." No explanation. No context. Just go. And when he got there, he found an Ethiopian official reading Isaiah, desperately searching for understanding. That wasn't coincidence. That was divine appointment. Your divine appointment is coming, and it's going to arrive disguised as something ordinary. A phone call, a conversation, a random encounter. But you need to have your spiritual antenna up, because God is about to send you a messenger you weren't expecting with a message you desperately need. When that person appears, when that opportunity presents itself, when that information lands in your lap, don't brush it off. Don't say, "Oh, that's nice," and go back to your routine. Pay attention. Ask questions. Follow the thread. Because sign number 2 isn't just confirmation, it's instruction. God is showing you where to step next. The third sign, an unexplainable lift in your spirit. This one is harder to describe, but you'll know it when it happens. It's like God breathing on your heart. It's a sudden surge of hope when you had none. It's joy bubbling up from a well you thought had run dry. It's that moment when you catch yourself humming a song you haven't thought about in decades, or you find yourself smiling for no earthly reason. Your circumstances haven't changed. Your bank account still shows the same number. Your body still has the same aches. Your family situation is still complicated, but something inside you, something deep, something eternal, just woke up. Nehemiah felt this when he stood before King Artaxerxes with a burden for Jerusalem. He hadn't planned to speak that day, but Nehemiah 2:4 says, "Then the king said to me, 'What do you request?' So I prayed to the God of heaven." In that split second, something shifted in his spirit. Faith rose up, courage activated, and he opened his mouth and changed the course of his entire nation. That lift in your spirit isn't just a good mood. That's the Holy Spirit activating something dormant inside you. That's divine momentum building. That's the breath of God filling sails that have been limp for too long. And here's what you need to understand. This lift will come at a strange time. Not when you're in church. Not when you're praying. It'll come while you're doing something mundane. Washing dishes. Watching television. Walking to your mailbox. And when it comes, when you feel that unexplainable surge of hope, that's your signal to start moving. Now here's what ties all 3 signs together. Earlier I told you that at minute 13, I would reveal the sign that proves your breakthrough activated today. Well, here it is. When these 3 confirmations appear, the peace, the person, the lift, they won't come separately over weeks or months. They'll come close together, rapidly, one after another like dominoes falling in divine order. And when they do, when you recognize all 3 signs within days of each other, you need to understand something crucial. This isn't the time to sit back and wait for God to do everything. This is the time to move, to act, to step forward even when you don't see the full staircase. James 2:13 says, "Faith by itself, if it does not of works, is dead." God will give you the signs, but you have to respond to them. When the peace comes, receive it and step into it. When the person appears, engage with them. When the lift happens, follow where it leads. Don't doubt. Don't second guess. Don't talk yourself out of what your spirit clearly recognizes. Because here's the truth that will determine everything. Signs without response are just spiritual entertainment. But signs with obedience, that's when miracles manifest. So let me ask you the question that will determine whether November 20th was just another date on your calendar or the day everything changed. When these signs appear, and they will appear, are you going to trust what you see, or are you going to let fear convince you it's all in your head? You know what nobody told you about getting close to your breakthrough? The darker it gets right before dawn. Think about this past week. Monday morning you woke up feeling off, not sick exactly, but heavy, like someone draped a wet blanket over your soul. Tuesday, that argument came out of nowhere. Words that cut deeper than they should have. Wednesday night, 2 a.m., bolt awake with anxiety crushing your chest, replaying every regret from 19TSM. Thursday, you couldn't even pray. The words died in your throat. And today, Friday, November 20th, you almost didn't watch this message because something whispered, "It won't work for you anyway." That wasn't coincidence, chosen one. That was warfare. See, here's what the preachers don't tell you from their comfortable pulpits. Every single time heaven schedules a promotion for you, hell mobilizes. Not because you're weak, not because you did something wrong, but because the enemy can see what's coming for you before you can see it yourself. And what he sees terrifies him. Ephesians 6:2 puts it plainly, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world." The Paul didn't write that as poetry. He wrote it as a battle report. You're not fighting your circumstances. You're fighting invisible forces that have been assigned to your destruction since the day you were marked as chosen. And this week those forces went into overdrive. You thought it was just your arthritis acting up. You thought it was just your blood pressure medication needing adjustment. You thought it was just old age making you forgetful, anxious, unable to sleep. But what if I told you that every unexplained pain, every surge of depression, every wave of discouragement that hit you this week was a targeted attack? What if those weren't symptoms of decline, but evidence of disruption, hell's last-ditch effort to knock you off course before you step into what God released at midnight? Let me tell you something that's going to shake you. The intensity of the attack is always proportional to the size of the blessing. When David was just a shepherd boy, nobody bothered him. But the moment Samuel poured that oil on his head and declared him king, suddenly Saul wanted him dead. When Job was simply prosperous and faithful, Satan ignored him. But the moment God said, "Have you considered my servant Job?" that's when all hell broke loose. Job 1:10 records Satan's response. The Lord said to Satan, "Very well then, everything he has is in your power." And within hours, Job lost everything. But here's what hell didn't count on. God allowed the attack because he knew what it would produce. Job 4:2 tells us, after Job had prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortunes and gave Job twice as much as he had before. Twice as much. The attack wasn't the end, it was the setup for unprecedented multiplication. So when you felt those shadows closing in this week, when that depression hit you like a freight train, when your own thoughts turned against you and whispered that you're too old, too broken, too forgotten, that wasn't God abandoning you. That was the enemy panicking because he knows your time has come. Think about what happened in your life this week. That sudden argument with your daughter that made no sense. The enemy was trying to isolate you before your breakthrough manifests. That health scare that terrified you at 3 a.m. He was attempting to make you focus on your body instead of your destiny. That financial worry that consumed your mind. He was working to convince you that lack is your portion when abundance is literally in transit. Daniel understood this. Daniel 10:2 records the angel telling him, Do not be afraid, Daniel. Since the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them. But the prince of the Persian kingdom resisted me 21 days. Did you catch that? Daniel's answer was dispatched immediately, but demonic forces fought to delay it for 3 weeks. Your prayers didn't fail, beloved. They triggered a war in the heavenlies. And while you've been sitting here thinking God forgot about you, He's been fighting battles you can't even see to deliver what He promised. This is why you felt attacked. This is why this week felt like walking through mud. This is why every step forward felt like dragging chains. Because you were dragging chains, the old chains of your past, your limitations, your disappointments. But here's the prophetic word burning in my spirit right now. Those chains weren't holding you back. They were rattling, loosening, getting ready to shatter. The shadows you felt this week weren't evidence of failure. They were evidence of something dying. Your old season, your old identity, your old limitation. When a caterpillar enters the cocoon, there's a period where it's neither caterpillar nor butterfly, it's just darkness, pressure and confusion. But that darkness isn't destruction. It's transformation. And you, chosen one, you're in the cocoon right now. But November 20th marks the day the cocoon splits open. Here's what's about to happen, and I need you to hear this with your spirit, not just your ears. God is about to turn every single attack from this week into acceleration. Every tear you cried, seed you planted, every sleepless night, prayer you prayed without words, every moment of doubt, test you passed. James 1:22 declares, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love Him." You stood the test, now comes the crown. But the question burning in the atmosphere right now, the question that will determine whether you receive what's coming or let it pass you by, is this. Now that you know why you were attacked, will you still surrender to the fear, or will you stand up and fight back? Because what I'm about to show you next will give you the weapons you need to not just survive this battle, but to utterly demolish every force that's been assigned against your breakthrough. There's a wind coming, chosen one. Not the kind that rattles your windows or bends the trees in your backyard. I'm talking about something ancient, something prophetic. Something that has been gathering force in the heavenlies since the day you whispered your first desperate prayer. The wind of reversal. And it's blowing in your direction right now. Let me tell you what's happening in the spiritual realm at this very moment. Every door that slammed in your face, the wind is pushing it back open. Every relationship that fractured and left you bleeding, the wind is carrying reconciliation on its currents. Every financial setback that made you wonder if you'd survive, the wind is reversing the flow of provision back toward your life. But here's what breaks my heart. Most believers never feel this wind because they're too busy looking backward at what they lost. They're standing there staring at the rubble of their past, while God is trying to turn their face toward the future He's been building in secret. Can you feel it? That strange lightness in your chest this morning? That sudden clarity that made you think differently about a situation you'd given up on? That shift in the atmosphere that you can't quite explain, but you know something has changed? That's not your imagination, beloved. That's the reversal wind touching your spirit before it manifests in your circumstances. Job Team 10 says it plainly. Though your beginning was small, yet your latter end would increase abundantly. Do you understand what that means? It means God specializes in reverse mathematics. While the world calculates your worth by what you've accumulated, heaven calculates your destiny by what you've survived. Your latter days aren't meant to be your lesser days. They're meant to be your greater days. But most people miss this wind because they're waiting for it to feel comfortable. They want breakthrough to arrive wrapped in certainty, tied with a bow of complete understanding. But that's not how God's wind works. His wind is disruptive. It tears down what needs to fall so it can build what needs to rise. Think about the Red Sea. For 400 years, those Israelites had been slaves. 400 years. Their grandparents were slaves. Their great-great-grandparents were slaves. Bondage was their family business. And then one night, God sent a wind. Exodus 4:4-20 tells us Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night. All that night, not instantly, not immediately. The wind blew all night long, while the Israelites stood there in the dark, wondering if anything was actually happening. But by morning, that same sea that represented their impossibility had become their pathway to freedom. That's what's happening to you right now. While you've been standing in your night season, while you've been wondering if God was even paying attention, the wind has been blowing, rearranging, restructuring, repositioning everything that needs to move for your breakthrough to manifest. It's turning, it's turning, it's turning in your favor. That diagnosis the doctors gave you, it's turning. That estrangement from your adult children, it's turning. That financial pressure that's kept you awake at night, it's turning. That loneliness that sits in your chest like a stone, it's turning. But here's what you need to understand about this wind: it doesn't just move things, it flips them. What was working against you will now work for you. What resisted you will now release you. What blocked you will now propel you forward. Joseph knew this wind. His brothers threw him in a pit. The wind was blowing. Sold him into slavery. The wind was still blowing. Falsely accused and thrown in prison. The wind never stopped. And then one morning, he woke up as second in command of the most powerful nation on earth. Genesis 50:20 records his words, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." That's the power of the reversal wind. It takes what hell designed for your destruction and turns it into the very thing that elevates you. You think you've been forgotten. No, you've been hidden. You think you've been sidelined. No, you've been positioned. You think your best years are behind you. No, God saved the finest wine for last. John 2:10 confirms it. The master of the feast said, "You have kept the good wine until now." Can you feel the wind picking up speed? That restlessness in your spirit isn't anxiety, it's anticipation. Your soul recognizes what's coming before your mind can comprehend it. Every morning you wake up still breathing is another day the wind is blowing on your behalf. Every sunset you witness is proof that God hasn't finished writing your story. But before this wind completes its work, before the full manifestation of your reversal arrives, God needs you to understand something crucial about timing. Because what separates those who experience the breakthrough from those who miss it entirely comes down to one thing: recognition. You have to recognize the wind is blowing even before you see the evidence. You have to believe the shift is happening even while circumstances still look the same. You have to stand in faith during the all-night season, trusting that by morning, your impossibility will become your testimony. You are stepping into the season where God says, "What resisted you will now release you. What blocked you will now bless you. What tried to bury you will become the soil from which your greatest harvest grows." But the question that will determine everything is this: will you position yourself to catch this wind? Or will you stay anchored to the disappointments of yesterday? You've been waiting so long that you forgot what hope feels like, didn't you? For 20 years, maybe 30, maybe longer, you've been carrying the same prayer in your heart like a stone you can't put down. You've watched others get their miracles while you're still standing in the same spot, wondering if God somehow lost your file in heaven's archives. And the worst part, you've stopped believing that anything could actually change. But let me tell you something that's going to shake you to your core. When God finally moves on your behalf, He doesn't send trumpets first. He doesn't send angels with announcements. He sends something so subtle, so quiet, that most people miss it entirely. He sends peace. Not happiness, not excitement, peace. That unexplainable calm that settles over your spirit like snow falling on a winter night in Central Park. That strange steadiness that makes no logical sense when your bank account is still empty, when your body still hurts, when your children still haven't called. Think about it. When was the last time you felt genuinely peaceful, not distracted, not numb, but truly at rest in your soul? For most of you watching right now, it's been years, maybe decades. You've been running on anxiety and adrenaline for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to simply breathe. But today something shifted, didn't it? Maybe you woke up this morning and for the first time in months, that crushing weight on your chest felt lighter. Maybe you were sitting in your kitchen with your coffee, staring out the window, and suddenly, for no reason at all, you felt like everything was going to be okay. Maybe you were driving to the grocery store and a wave of inexplicable calm washed over you, and you couldn't explain it, couldn't justify it. But you felt it. That wasn't random, beloved. That was the sign. Listen to what Jesus said in John 9:4-7, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid." Do you hear that? His peace isn't like the world's peace. The world's peace depends on circumstances. God's peace defies them. When heaven is about to move a mountain in your life, the first thing God does is steady your heart. Because He knows that if your breakthrough arrived while you were still in panic mode, you'd miss it, you'd question it, you'd sabotage it with doubt. So He sends peace first, not as a consolation prize, but as a confirmation. Peace is the announcement that your miracle is already in motion. Think about the night before the Red Sea parted. The Israelites were trapped, Egyptian army behind them, water in front of them, certain death on every side. Logic said they were finished. Circumstances screamed hopeless. But Exodus 43 records Moses saying, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today." Stand firm, be still, peace in the face of impossibility. That's what you're feeling right now. That unexplainable calm isn't denial. It's not you giving up or checking out. It's your spirit recognizing what your mind can't yet see, that God has already dispatched your deliverance, and it's heading straight for you. I'm talking to the 70-year-old woman in Queens who's been praying for her prodigal son for 40 years. You felt it this morning, didn't you? That strange knowing that he's coming home. That's peace speaking. I'm talking to the 2-year-old man in the Bronx whose medical bills are crushing him. You felt something lift yesterday when you opened that envelope, even though the numbers still don't make sense. That's the sign. I'm talking to the grandmother in Staten Island who raised 6 children alone and now sits in an empty apartment wondering if anyone remembers her sacrifice. You felt a warmth in your chest this week that you haven't felt in years. That wasn't your imagination. That was heaven confirming that your reward is coming. Peace is the warm coat God wraps around you before He takes you out into the storm to watch it stop at His command. Peace is the soft light He places on your path before He reveals where that path leads. Peace is the quiet voice reminding you that you're still seen, still known, still held, even when everyone else has looked away. But here's what breaks my heart. Most people feel this peace and dismiss it. They think, "Oh, I'm just having a good day." Or worse, "I'm probably just getting old and accepting defeat." No. That peace is prophetic. That calm is confirmation. That stillness in your spirit is God saying, "Get ready. What I'm about to do will require you to be steady, because it's going to be bigger than anything you imagined." If you have felt even a flicker of peace today, even for 5 minutes, even for 5 seconds, your breakthrough has already activated. The door didn't just unlock, you're already walking through it. You just don't see the other side yet. Right now I need you to do something. If you've felt that unexplainable peace, if you've experienced that strange calm that makes no earthly sense, type peace in the comments. Let heaven see that you recognize the sign. Let the angels witness that you're awake to what God is doing. Because here's the truth that will set you free. Peace is not the ending. Peace is not God's way of saying, settle down and accept things as they are. Peace is the announcement. It's the herald running ahead of the king shouting, make way. Make way, something magnificent is coming. Your breakthrough isn't coming, beloved. It's already here. And the proof is the peace you can't explain but can no longer deny. So the question isn't whether your miracle is real. The question is, what are you going to do now that you know it's already in motion? You're standing at a place you've never been before, and it terrifies you. Behind you lies everything familiar, the pain you know, the disappointments you've memorized, the prayers you've repeated so many times they've become background noise in your own heart. That's your old life worn like an old coat that doesn't fit anymore, but at least it's predictable. Ahead of you, something you can't quite see, something your eyes can't focus on because it's wrapped in faith, not certainty. And let me tell you what's really happening right now in your spirit. You're standing on a bridge. Not a physical bridge spanning the East River, but a spiritual bridge that only the chosen ones ever encounter. This bridge has a name. It's called the place of no return. And chosen one, you cannot move forward while dragging your past with you. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking about that business that failed in 1997. You're thinking about the marriage that crumbled in 1992. You're thinking about the children who moved 3 states away and call twice a year if you're lucky. You're thinking about the retirement savings that should have lasted but didn't. You're thinking about the body that used to climb stairs without gasping, the mind that used to remember names without struggling. Your past is screaming at you right now. It's saying, come back where it's safe. Come back where you know the ending. Come back where disappointment can't surprise you anymore because you've already lived it. But God is saying something different. He's saying, walk forward. This time is different. This time the dream doesn't die in your hands, it resurrects. You see, there's something about crossing bridges that most people don't understand. When you're in the middle, when you can't touch the shore you left and you can't reach the shore ahead, that's when fear is loudest. That's when doubt screams. That's when your own thoughts become weapons against your destiny. Hebrews 9:1 says, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. But here's what that really means for you today. Faith isn't hoping tomorrow will be different. Faith is knowing that what you cannot see is more real than what you can. You've spent 70, 80, maybe 90 years accumulating memories, some beautiful, many painful, and those memories have become the lens through which you see everything. But this is where you must walk by faith, not memory. Memory says you've tried before and failed. Faith says God's not finished writing your story. Memory says you're too old for new beginnings. Faith says Sarah was 90 when she birthed nations. Memory says you've buried too many dreams. Faith says Lazarus was 4 days dead before Jesus called him out. Let me tell you something that's going to shake you. You've buried dreams before, we all have. You've stood at gravesides, literal and metaphorical, and watched possibilities get covered with dirt. You felt that hollow ache of what could have been. So many times you thought you'd go numb to it. But this time, God refuses to let it die. You know why? Because every dream you buried was actually a seed. Every hope that seemed to rot in the ground was actually taking root. Every tear you cried over closed doors was actually watering something underground that you couldn't see growing. And November 18th is Harvest Day. But you have to cross this bridge. You have to leave the shore of how it's always been and step toward the shore of what God has always planned. And that middle space, that's where transformation happens. That's where the old you dies and the new you is born. I'm talking to the widow who thought companionship was over. I'm talking to the grandfather who thought his influence ended when his children stopped listening. I'm talking to the woman who raised everyone else's dreams and thought hers were buried with her youth. I'm talking to the man who built companies and careers but feels invisible now that the titles are gone. Your past wants you back. It's comfortable there. It knows your name. It expects nothing from you. But God wants you forward. He's uncomfortable there, uncomfortable in the best way, because he's about to do something you've never seen before. Something your experience can't predict. Something your disappointment can't sabotage. Joshua 34 records something remarkable. When the Israelites were about to cross the Jordan River into their promised land, God told them, "You have not passed this way before." They were stepping into territory with no map, no GPS, no street signs. Just faith and the presence of God going ahead of them. That's you right now. You have not passed this way before. Every other season of your life had precedent. You'd seen something like it, lived through something similar, could reference past experience. But not this time. This season doesn't match anything in your history, because it's not from your history, it's from heaven's future breaking into your present. You thought you were too late, didn't you? You thought the best chapters were already written. You thought God had moved on to younger vessels, fresher faces, people with more years ahead of them. But heaven says you're right on time. In fact, you're the only one who could arrive at this moment with exactly what's needed. The scars that became wisdom, the failures that became faith, the losses that became the ability to trust God with everything, because you've already lost everything and He was still there. This bridge you're crossing, it's not taking you backward into regret. It's not leaving you suspended in uncertainty. It's delivering you into the single most powerful season of your entire existence. But you have to keep walking, one step, then another, eyes forward, heart open, past released. Because after this bridge comes the biggest revelation of this entire message. What's waiting on the other side isn't just good news, it's the answer to every prayer you thought God ignored, every promise you thought expired, every dream you thought died. The question is, will you cross? Beloved chosen one, as we come to the end of this sacred moment together, I need you to hold on to 3 unshakable truths. First, November 29th is not just another day you survived, it's the day heaven marked as your turning point. The door that clicked open this morning won't close because you hesitated. God has already set things in motion that your doubt cannot stop. Second, the bridge you're crossing right now isn't taking you to uncertainty. It's delivering you to the answer of every prayer you thought went unheard. Your past tried to convince you that you're too late, too old, too broken. But God says you're right on time, perfectly positioned, and more powerful than you've ever been. Third, and listen carefully, you are not walking this path alone. The same God who moved heaven closer to earth today is walking every step with you. He hasn't brought you this far to abandon you now. Romans 3:1 declares, "If God is for us, who can be against us?" That's not just scripture, that's your reality right now. And beyond God's presence, you have this community. Look at these comments. Feel these hearts connecting. You're surrounded by thousands of chosen ones who understand your struggle because they're living it too. We're not just viewers, we're family. And family doesn't let each other walk through breakthrough alone. So let me ask you this. Now that you know today is your marked day, now that you understand the bridge you're crossing leads to destiny and not disappointment, what will you do with this revelation? Will you step forward in faith, or will you let fear pull you back to the familiar shore? Before you go, let me pray over you. Wherever you are right now, sitting in your living room, lying in your bed, Parked in your car, I want you to feel this prayer like a hand on your shoulder. Heavenly Father, I lift up every precious soul who heard this message today. You know their names, you know their struggles, you know the prayers they've whispered in darkness when no one else was listening. Lord, let them feel your presence right now, not as a distant hope, but as a living reality wrapping around them like a warm embrace. God, open every door that human hands have closed. Restore every dream that disappointment tried to bury. Heal every wound that time hasn't touched. Give them strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. Let this November 18th be remembered as the day everything shifted, when silence broke, when waiting ended, when heaven moved on their behalf. Surround them with divine protection, supernatural provision, and prophetic clarity. Let them wake up tomorrow knowing beyond doubt that the breakthrough isn't coming, it's already here. In Jesus' mighty name, Amen. Now I need to hear from you. Comment below and tell me what stirred in your spirit today. What did God speak to your heart? Ask your questions. We're here to pray with you, to stand with you, to believe with you. And please share this message with someone who needs to hear it. Someone sitting alone right now thinking God forgot them. Someone who needs to know that November 18th was marked for them too. If this is your first time here, welcome home. Hit that subscribe button and join this family of chosen ones. We gather here every week to be reminded of who we really are and whose we really are. Thank you for staying until the very end. That tells me everything about your heart. You're hungry for more, and God honors that hunger. Your breakthrough is already in motion. Walk into it.